The SS Dustbiter floated through the graveyard of giants. Twisted hulls and shattered cruisers drifted silently, the aftermath of a forgotten border skirmish between some now-defunct pirate alliance and a Xol'dari patrol. Captain Lena Voss stood on the cracked bridge, arms crossed, eyes tracking the lazy spin of a wrecked freighter. "This one's still got fuel cells," said Malik from engineering, voice crackling over comms. "Untapped. Could be 6 figures if we drain 'em right." Lena squinted through the viewport. "Mark it. We'll come back once we finish stripping the flagship." Below her boots, the floor hummed with uneven power, salvaged coils never did hold steady. The Dustbiter was barely spaceworthy. A Frankenstein's monster of stolen tech, duct tape, and sheer defiance, but it was hers. Then came the ping. Not the familiar chirp of incoming data, this was a sharper, colder tone. "Xol'dari." Lena's spine straightened. "Show me." On screen, the sleek triangle of a Dominion peacekeeping vessel cut across the black, all-polished chrome and pulsing blue thrusters. It was too close. It shouldn't have been that close without warning. A moment later, their comms lit up. "Unregistered vessel. You are in violation of Dominion Salvage Code 7.1. Cease all operations. Prepare for inspection." Lena's jaw flexed. Bastards didn't even send a warning ping. A pause, then the familiar voice of Juno, her comms officer. "They're jamming outer band frequencies. No distress calls." Lena didn't flinch. "Stall 'em." Juno nodded, flipping switches. "Channel open." Lena leaned forward, voice honeyed and thick with sarcasm. "Dominion vessel, this is the SS Dustbiter. We are a civilian salvage operation with zero offensive capability. We'd be thrilled to comply, but we're in the middle of a volatile fuel drain. One wrong move and we all go boom. Recommend maintaining distance for your safety." Silence. Then, cold and clipped. "Excuses noted. Boarding team en route. Prepare for dock." Malik's voice cut in again. "We're not ready for this, Lena." "I know." She pulled a worn data drive from her pocket, slotting it into the NAV console. It hummed. "Get everyone on alert. Activate Protocol 9. Protocol 9? That's... Do it." A beat passed. Then Malik's voice, lower. "Aye, Captain." Lena turned back to the viewport, watching the Xol'dari boarding shuttle detach and coast toward them like a predator sniffing blood. Her mind flicked back, 2 years ago, another boarding, another inspection. Her brother, Rafe, hands raised, gun down on his knees for noncompliance. No warning. No justice. She'd buried that moment, but it never stopped echoing. She exhaled. "They want a show, let's give them one." Down in the cargo bay, she moved fast. The ion mine wasn't pretty. It was an old orbital mine repurposed with a short-range EMP burst, illegal as hell and rigged with a hair trigger. She dragged it toward the airlock, cable fed to a manual detonator in the floor grate. Old school, human style. No remote signals. No hacks. Just raw physics. Juno's voice rang through the ship again. "Boarding team ETA 60 seconds. The ship shuddered as docking clamps engaged. Lena kneeled by the detonator, breath steady. The boarding hatch hissed. 3 Xol'dari soldiers stepped through, tall, silver-scaled, faces hidden behind mirrored masks. Plasma rifles in hand. They moved with mechanical precision, scanning the corridor with cold efficiency. The lead one stepped forward. "Captain Lena Voss. You will come with." She kicked the trigger. The explosion wasn't fire, it was a pulse. The air shimmered. The lights died. Gravity flipped. A bone-deep hum tore through the hull as the EMP slammed into the boarding corridor. The Xol'dari soldiers collapsed, twitching as their armor systems shorted. Their weapons sparked once, then went dark. From behind a sealed bulkhead, Malik hooped. "Got him." "Status on the mothership?" Lena called, already sprinting back to the bridge. Disabled their shields. Looks like we fried their comms too. Perfect. Back on the bridge, she kicked the engines into life. The ship lurched forward, steering straight into the debris field. Behind them, the Dominion vessel sat motionless, shields flickering, hull sparking at the seams. Plot us a random drift path. Make it look like we're damaged and aimless. Juno frowned. You want to pretend we're dead? No, Lena said with a grin. I want them to think we're bait. She keyed open a direct line, encrypted, narrowband. To High Arbiter Clacks. Consider this a message. Your shiny toys don't work out here. This is salvage space now. You want control? You'll have to pry it from the hands of every rust bucket and freighter in the fringe. She closed the channel before they could trace it. Silence returned to the bridge. Then Malik spoke, voice quiet. You just pissed off an entire Dominion patrol. No, Lena said, settling into her chair. I woke up every civilian ship that's ever been boarded, fined, or shot at. They think we're harmless because we're not Navy. That's their mistake. Outside, the wreckage field swallowed them, and the stars began to blur with movement. Far away, deep in Dominion space, Clax's claws tightened around the transmission log. His eyes narrowed. His voice was a whisper, filled with ice. Send reinforcements. I want that human ship reduced to atoms. But the signal was already spreading. All across the fringe, from mining colonies to trade hubs, captains received a copy of Lena's broadcast. And they started arming their cargo ships. The SS Dustbiter was running dark. No lights, no beacons, no heat signatures above ambient drift. Just one more chunk of floating wreckage in a belt of iron and ice. It was an old salvager's trick, play dead, and let the predators pass. But this time, the predators weren't moving on. They're still out there, Juno murmured, hunched over the passive scanner console. 3 Xol'dari ships. 2 standard destroyers. 1. I don't recognize. Heavier hull. New design. Must be Clax's personal toy, Lena muttered. Malik chimed in from engineering. If they fire up long-range sweeps, they'll catch our heat sink trail. We can't stay dead forever. Lena didn't respond right away. She stood at the cracked window, staring at the glimmer of distant blue light. That was Dominion tech, perfect, uniform, sterile. Human ships leaked, rattled, groaned. The Dustbiter felt alive. Dominion ships felt like they'd been built in a lab to erase everything unpredictable. That was their weakness. They're not just looking for us, she said at last. They're waiting for others to come looking. Like who? Juno asked. Us, Lena said, flashing a grin. Other rust buckets. Other civilians. If they can make us an example, they'll keep the rest in line. Juno swore under her breath. Options? Lena asked. Option A, we hide and hope they get bored, Malik said. Option B, we run and hope we're faster. Option C, we do something stupid. Lena turned from the window. See it is. A quiet groan came from below decks. They powered up slowly, just thrusters, just enough to drift toward a thick cluster of ice-coated asteroids. The belt was unstable, fields of rock spiraling in unpredictable patterns. Not even Dominion ships liked to navigate it. Too messy. Too risky. Perfect. Got a ping, Juno said. Not Dominion. Civilian transponder, the Lucky Spark. Heavy freighter, flagged for medical transport out of Perseid 9. They shouldn't be here, Lena said. Medical ships don't wander minefields. Juno tapped a few commands. They're running low power. No distress signal, but, wait, there's a private message on old Solnet band. The words flickered on screen, plain text. You're not alone. We saw what you did. We brought friends. Malik whistled. Looks like we started something. Patch me through, Lena said. A moment later, a voice filled the bridge. Male. Mid-40s. Calm, but urgent. Captain Voss, this is Elias Wren aboard the Lucky Spark. We're not fighters. But we've got fuel, medicine, and 12 other ships hiding in nearby fields. Merchants, miners. Even a couple pirates. They heard your broadcast. They want in. In on what? Lena asked. Whatever the hell this is. Within the hour, they had a makeshift fleet, 15 civilian vessels, non-combat ready by any sane standard. One tugboat had reinforced its hull with scrap plating. A decommissioned ore hauler had 6 surface-mounted missile pods stolen from a ground battery. They had no coordination. No hierarchy. What they had was chaos. Lena's mind buzzed. Dominion ships ran on patterns. Algorithms. Efficiency. But humans? Humans weaponized desperation. Clax will sweep through this belt in the next hour, she said to the assembled captains over a cracked video line. He wants to prove that civilians obey, or they get turned into examples. We don't let that happen. The replies came fast and blunt. My wife was on the Rosewater. They boarded her ship last year. She never came back. They taxed us, fined us, then called it peacekeeping. Screw 'em. They think we're cargo haulers. Let's show 'em we're rabid dogs. Malik leaned over her shoulder. Still not sure this is a plan. It's not, Lena said. It's bait. They set it up fast. The Lucky Spark would fake a reactor failure, drifting vulnerable in open space. The rest of the fleet would power down, hidden across the asteroid field. The Dustbiter remained central, disguised as a broken lifeboat. Then they waited. It didn't take long. The Dominion destroyers moved in, sleek shadows against the void. Scanners blinked on. Targeting arrays spun to life. And then the third ship arrived. Black and silver, longer than a battleship, crawling with antennae in drone launch bays. Clax's personal command vessel. He hailed them. Human vessel Lucky Spark, you are in violation of Zone 6 quarantine regulations. Prepare for containment. Lena grinned. Now. The asteroid behind the Dustbiter exploded. Shards of frozen iron flared outward, blinding the Dominion sensors. The disguised freighter hull peeled away, revealing autocannons welded from orbital turrets. They weren't accurate. They weren't meant to be. They were loud, hot, and full of scrap ammo, designed to look dangerous. In chaos, perception was everything. Other ships lit up, magnetically launched flares, chaff clouds, erratic movement. The Dominion tried to lock on. Failed. The system wasn't designed for randomness. Human ships spiraled, cut thrusters, flipped end over end. They don't know which ones are armed, Malik shouted. They can't tell which ones are even real, Juno added. Then the pirates struck. A pair of cloaked cargo haulers had painted their hulls to resemble station wreckage. They latched onto one Dominion destroyer and injected corrosive plasma into its rear thrusters. Fire bloomed. The destroyer spun out. Lena focused on the command ship. Clax won't retreat, she muttered. But he'll chase. She punched in a preset course. A slingshot arc around the largest planetoid in the belt. Let's pull the bastard out. The Dustbiter kicked to life, engines flaring. The Dominion command ship followed, predictably, methodically. They thought she was running. That was their mistake. As they passed the planetoid's dark side, Lena activated the final trick. An old refueling rig, gutted and buried in rock. It had one purpose now, radiation flare. They'd packed it with 6 unstable fusion cores and a magnetic lens. Malik pressed the trigger. A beam of raw gamma energy lanced through space, blinding sensors, frying targeting systems. The Dominion ship flinched, recoiled. That was all the time Lena needed. She slipped past, engines screaming, pulling into cover. Behind her, the Dominion flagship listed. Not destroyed, but humiliated. Back in the field, civilian ships began to retreat. One by one, they blinked out of sight. No orders. Just instinct. Survival with a hint of rebellion. Later, back aboard the Dustbiter, silence reigned. Malik passed her a flask. Lena took a swig, eyes still on the stars. "We didn't win," he said quietly. "No," Lena agreed. "But we didn't lose. And that's what they'll remember." A comms ping. Encrypted. Unknown origin. She tapped it. "To whoever lit up the Clax fleet, we're listening. Next time, we'll bring real guns." Lena smiled. War wasn't coming. It had already begun. The Dustbiter drifted in the shadow of a gas giant, hiding in plain sight. The artificial night felt comforting, an illusion of safety amid the chaos. It had been days since the skirmish with Clax's fleet, and while the Dominion had yet to come looking for them directly, Lena knew better than to think they'd forgotten. "They're going to retaliate," Juno said, her voice tight. The comms officer was hunched over the console, eyes scanning for signals. "Clax won't let this slide. Not after the embarrassment. The Dominion doesn't take loses well." Lena didn't argue. She had seen it before, an empire more fragile than it seemed, desperate to crush what it couldn't control. The threat had always been there. She had simply given it a name. "They won't expect us to move," she said, running a hand through her short, dark hair. "That's our edge." Malik was in the engine room, a low hum of tools and metal in the background. He walked in, wiping his hands on a rag. "All systems are green. For now. We're as ready as we can be." "Good," Lena said. "Prep the fleet. We're going to make our move tonight." The Dustbiter's crew had learned the art of deception well. They couldn't match the Dominion's firepower, but they didn't need to. What they needed was time, and enough fear to make the Dominion think twice about attacking again. The trap was simple: bait. The Lucky Spark, their reluctant ally, had agreed to pose as an easy target again. But this time, the plan was different. The moment Clax and his fleet saw the freighter's weak signals, they would pounce, chasing it across the asteroid field. And then, like the hunter becoming the hunted, the Dustbiter and the civilian fleet would slam into them from all sides. It was a chaotic, desperate plan, but that's what they had. Chaos was human strength. Lena stood on the bridge, staring out into the void. The stars seemed far too calm. "We move in 2 hours," she said to the crew, her voice steady but thick with anticipation. "Don't waste a single shot. We have one chance to make this work." An hour later, the Lucky Spark sent the first signal: reactor failure imminent. "We're drifting, helpless. Don't wait too long, Captain. This could be it." Lena didn't flinch. She sent the signal back: "Patience. The real fight starts now." On her screen, Clax's ships appeared, cutting through the darkness with the calculated precision that had earned the Xol'dari their ruthless reputation. The destroyers flanked the Lucky Spark's weak signal, their sensors locked onto the freighter. The flagship loomed in the distance, slower, deliberate, like a predator savoring its kill. "Here we go," Malik said from the engineering room, voice almost reverent. Lena stood by the comm panel, her finger hovering over the release button. "Get ready," she said again, quieter this time. Her crew's faces, Juno, Malik, Elias from the Lucky Spark, and the other captains, stared at the screens, all waiting for the same moment. Every hand held steady, and every heart beat a little faster. Lena counted down in her head: 3, 2, 1. Now. The Dustbiter lurched forward, engines roaring to life. The moment they broke the concealment of the gas giant, the Dominion destroyers began to react. Too slow. They didn't know what hit them. The first salvo, an old-fashioned barrage of missiles from a junked-out pirate ship, slammed into one of the destroyers. The hull cracked, shields flaring in a desperate defense. The pirate ship, a hodgepodge of scrap and desperation, had more guts than any naval cruiser. It would be useless in a prolonged battle, but it didn't need to last long. The Dustbiter followed suit, ducking behind a nearby asteroid to avoid the barrage of incoming fire from Clax's flagship. But Lena wasn't trying to avoid damage. She was pulling Clax further in. Deeper into the trap. A thin line of civilian ships, cargo haulers and medical transports, reinforced with scrap and welded-together turrets, flanked the Dominion fleet. They swarmed like hornets, unleashing their payloads in erratic, unpredictable patterns. Blinding flashes and plasma bursts filled the void, each one adding to the chaos. The Dustbiter circled, luring Clax closer, using the debris fields to shield them. From this distance, the Dominion couldn't get a proper lock without overcompensating, firing blind and wasting energy. A moment later, the lucky spark sent out the signal, "Core's critical. We're not going to last much longer." And then, Lena did something unexpected. She fired. Not at the fleet, but at the massive asteroid field surrounding them. It wasn't a smart move, it was a desperate one. The Dustbiter's engine screamed, and with a violent jolt, they launched themselves straight into the heart of the asteroid belt. The path was anything but predictable. Rocks of all sizes, some small as pebbles, some as large as entire moons, careened toward the fleet. The Dustbiter used them as cover, ducking and weaving as Xol'dari ships scrambled to fire, their lasers cutting through space and missing by inches. But Lena wasn't done. She triggered the Dustbiter's emergency flare, the ancient fusion charge that had been sitting idle for years. It wasn't much, but the shockwave was enough to disrupt Clax's systems once more. The light from the explosion momentarily blinded the Dominion fleet, and in that instant, every civilian ship made their move. The pirates attacked again, this time with more precision. They weren't as clean as Clax's fleets, but they didn't need to be. The lucky spark peeled away from its decoy position, and it turned, giving the Dominion flagship a taste of what a desperate civilian fleet could do. Clax's flagship screamed with rage, its shields flickering in the wake of the attack. But they hadn't won yet. The flagship was far too powerful. The Dustbiter and its allies could hurt them, but they couldn't stop them. That's when Lena took the last gamble. She activated the orbital debris cannon, an old scrap weapon she had been saving for just this moment. The cannon, built from a decommissioned space station's defense system, fired a massive chunk of space rock, faster than light, with no precision, but pure destructive force. The rock slammed into the Dominion flagship's side, a hit that should have been impossible, a shot that had no right to land. But it did. The ship buckled. The shields went down. And for a moment, it looked as though the impossible had happened. Then, just as quickly, the flagship's thrusters flared, and it began to break free of the debris field. Lena knew it wouldn't be enough to end the fight. Not yet. But it was a start. "Call the retreat," she said, voice low and steady, even as the ship's systems rattled from the barrage. "We're done here." The crew responded. The fleet turned, just as quickly as they had struck. "We made our point," Lena whispered. "We showed them we're not just targets. We're a force." But in the back of her mind, she knew, the battle was just beginning.